Alright, so what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's story, funny enough, takes place back when I was in grade 10. And in grade 10, I won't lie to you, I was a pretty well-known kid throughout my school, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie. I was mostly well-known for doing the Devil's Tango with a lot of different girls, but I remember one time specifically, it was the month of November, and I was feeling really sick. I have no idea why. I think I had like the stomach flu or something, but let's just say I had really immense and disgusting diarrhea. And you guys know when diarrhea happens, like your stomach's rumbling and anything you eat just comes straight out of you like there's no tomorrow. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. One time it got really excessive to the point where I remember when I went to school that day, I was literally in the toilet for like the first 2 blocks of my high school. It's not the best idea to skip class, but this was an emergency at this point. I remember one time when I was done, letting out my diarrhea and I was walking throughout my school, I could just already feel it in my stomach just coming out of me already. Like, I won't lie to you. It was like I was giving birth every single minute. That sounds really bad, but you guys know what I mean. And I remember one time I was walking down the hallway, and you know when like you really have to go to the bathroom again, but like you keep kind of like farting left and right? Well, that was me. So no joke, I was literally stinking up a storm in my school hallways. It was super gross, and honestly to this day I just can't get the smell out of my nose. But then I remember as I was walking to my next class, I went inside there and sat down. I remember my friend came up behind me and kind of scared me out of nowhere, touching my shoulder saying, "Boo, bro, where have you been all day, bro? I haven't seen you in a minute." And I told him how I wasn't feeling well and all this stuff because there was no way I was going to tell my buddy of mine that I had excessive diarrhea that day. I remember he just looks at me and says, "All right, man, you're looking a bit pale though. Like, you're good. You look like you got constipated or something." "Huh? No, I'm good, is what I told him. And then class started. Now, when class started, the whole time, I was just hoping to hold my, diarrhea in and not let anything out. So at this point on, I promised myself that I was not going to go to a bathroom and basically just stay in class and make sure I focus. Because also I had a test that day, so I really wanted to make sure I finished my test for that day so I didn't have to do it for a future day, because that would really suck. So I remember I was sitting in class holding in my diarrhea as I was doing a test. And I'm telling you guys this right now. You guys know how hard it is to hold your poop in while literally, and I mean no joke, it was so hard to do that test to the point where I literally felt like it was coming out of me. So I remember midway through the test, I ended up getting up and telling my teacher, "Hey, listen, I really need to go to the bathroom. I just gotta go." I remember the teacher kind of looks at me and says, "Can't you wait till like the end of the test?" "No," is what I said. I told her straight up no. Like, I almost yelled at her that. And she kind of looked at me very oddly and said, "Okay, well, just go ahead. Don't worry about it." I remember like she kind of gave me sass for it, but I didn't care. At that point, I just ran to the bathroom and I let it out. And I let out the biggest and most enormous fart ever. Like, no joke, it was a straight up... Like, it was bad, dude. I remember from there, I let out so much and it felt so good, but I won't lie to you. The bathroom stunk badly. Like, no joke, an Asian kid walked in afterwards and literally, I think, almost fainted because his facial reaction smelled like he smelled the worst fish he ever ate. At that point, I remember when I left the bathroom, I actually felt pretty good. It seemed like the strategy of me holding it in and then letting it all out at once actually really helped out. I know the story is really weird, me talking about my diarrhea and stuff, but trust me, it makes sense when you keep listening. I remember after a while, I went back to my classroom, sat down, and ended up finishing my test, which is a really good thing because there's no way I didn't want to do it on another day. And when I finished, I remember we all ended up just sitting in class, doing our own thing, and basically going on our phones. And me, I was planning on leaving so I could sit on the toilet seat once again. But obviously, I wanted to do the strategy where I hold it in. So I was holding it in, doing all that, and planning to let it go in like the next couple minutes. But then for some reason, right at that moment, the announcements come on. And they say, "Okay, class, Remembrance Day assembly coming up soon. Please get ready to line up in the hallway. Thank you." What is what I said? I remember my mind was panicking at that point because there was no way I was going to go to the Remembrance Day assembly and hold my diarrhea in. So I remember as I was panicking, I literally got up right after the announcements and I started heading for the door. And then my teacher literally says, "Bubba, we're going to the assembly, so can we please sit down and get ready to line up with everyone?" Can I go to the bathroom?" is what I told her. And she said, "You literally just went, so I think you can wait after the assembly." At that point, I remember my mind was going bonkers. I was stressing out. I was freaking out. My mind was going everywhere. And then afterwards, I remember I look over at my teacher and I literally walk up to her and say, "Listen, my stomach is really not feeling good and I should just go to the bathroom." But then she looks at me with all the sass she ever had and said, "Bubba, I know you're probably going to leave the school and skip the assembly like you did last time. So there's no way I'm letting you go. You were going to that assembly. Like, think about our veterans." What? Okay, I won't lie. I had a pretty bad reputation for skipping school and going to do the devil's tango. But this time I was serious. I don't know what to tell her to make her believe me, but there was no way she was letting me go. So I remember I ended up just lining up with the kids and basically walking down the hallway. And I won't lie to you guys, there was a girl behind me that literally was in my class, and I think I did let out a fart and she heard it. And it was super awkward because she looked at me and said, Baba, did you just really fart? And I'm like, no, that was the guy in front of me. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to hide it, but let's just say she definitely knew what was going on. Anyways, afterwards, I remember we ended up going to the assembly and we all sat down, and basically we all watched a bunch of war videos and stuff to remember Remembrance Day. If you guys don't know, Remembrance Day is basically a day where, like, we do a day where basically we recognize our fallen soldiers and all this good stuff. You guys can search it up. It's really good to learn, and honestly, it's really nice. And I remember after like a bunch of bagpipes were playing and all that cool stuff that they usually do on this assembly, I remember the principal walked up in front of the entire school and said, all right, guys, so now we're going to be doing a moment of silence. Please, everyone, please be quiet as we do this moment. Thank you. I remember everyone in the whole school goes quiet. Not a sound, not a peep, nothing. And me, I remember it got to the point in my mind where I was going literally insane. I was holding my fart in as much as I could and holding back all my diarrhea. No joke, I had to let it out. It got to the point where I went overdue for letting it out. And right as we were doing the 2 minutes of silence, I'm not joking, this was the most embarrassing thing ever. I literally had to let it go because it got to the point where I was constipated and my face was going red. So I remember I looked side to side and I'm like, oh dear Lord. And I let it all go. No joke, I released the fattest fart in front of my entire school. It went a little something like this. Like, no joke, I sounded louder than the bagpipes that the kids were playing earlier in this assembly. It was so embarrassing. I remember literally everyone in my class and everyone on the bleachers just turned their heads, look at me, and the grade 9s of my school were laughing. The freshmen were laughing at me. You guys have no idea how embarrassing this was. And I remember I literally got up in that point and I felt a little bit of wet in my underwear. And yeah, I kind of let out a little diarrhea in my pants. It was super embarrassing. So I remember I literally got up out of embarrassment, ran to my teacher and said, I need to go to the bathroom. Can you not wait till after the 2 minutes of silence? No, girl, I don't care about your silence. And I remember I ran out of that assembly, ran to the nearest toilet, which was the teacher's toilets, by the way, and I let it all out. Like, no joke, it was like I was double pumping in Fortnite. I was just going insane mode, okay? I remember literally out of nowhere, I was in there for like almost 2 hours, and the assembly ended like an hour ago. And I remember a teacher tries to walk into the teacher's bathroom, but saw it was locked because I was in there. The teacher knocks on the door and I say, taken, in my deepest voice I could make because I didn't want her to know that I was in the teacher's bathroom. And then she says, okay, sure, and ends up walking away. I remember like 20 minutes later after that, I ended up getting up, washed my hands, and being super happy that I let it out. But I won't lie to you, the school day basically ended at that point, so I just called my mom and she picked me up and took me straight to the doctors. Who knew laxatives were really useful after that day? But you know what? Honestly, all I'm gonna say is that if you have diarrhea, don't go to school because that could happen to you. Anyways, guys, that's basically it for today's story. Make sure you do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Seriously means a lot when you guys do. And like I always say, just fall for more embarrassing but insane stories. All right, peace out, guys.